Today, I'm reviewing the Perennial Bunch by Vitale Barberis Canonico, which I'll abbreviate to VBC. It is a widely distributed cloth, carried by many tailors, not just locally, but all around the world. Let's look at the specifications of the cloth. It weighs between 8.5 to 9 ounces, or 260 to 280 grams per meter. It is a pure merino wool with a surplus rating of 110. It is made in Italy by VBC. In terms of price bracket, it is definitely in the budget entry-level category. The Perennial is a general-purpose, all-climate cloth for suits, jackets, and trousers. A standout feature of the bunch is the extremely good value for money. VBC describes it as its global bestseller, and I see no reason to disbelieve that. It is in a weight class that makes it wearable in all climates. Layer it if you're in a colder place, and the patterns are classic and very conservative. Add to that the fact that it's almost impossible to find a better price for a pure wool, made in Italy product, and it becomes obvious why it has to sell well. There is nothing fashion forward in the designs of this book. In fact, I don't think I see a single original design. Instead, you get all the perennial classics, presented classically without any twist or reinterpretation. The predominant type of weave is the 2x2 twill, unless the pattern requires a different weave, as is the case with the bird eyes. The surface is completely clean cut. There is no sheen to the cloth whatsoever, but neither is it overtly matte or fuzzy or rustic. Apart from the price, the other standout feature of this bunch is the brilliance of the colors. Dye density is very high. Blues are startlingly blue with no trace of dustiness or chalkiness to the appearance. The blacks are some of the blackest I've seen in this price bracket, again with no signs of chalkiness. To get something much blacker, you'd have to turn to the Holland & Sherry Fiesta bunch with its double-dyed jet black, which is so black it makes the Perennial look chalky and dusty. If I must give a tone to the blacks in this bunch, I would say they tend a little bit towards blue. This is a lot better than blacks that tend towards green. The light greys and the mid greys are tonally very neutral, showing neither warmth nor coolness. These are not porous cloths. The twill weave makes them densely woven. When you hold the cloth to the light, nothing passes through. Yet, because of the relative lightness of the cloth, at 8.5 to 9 ounces, the cloth doesn't wear warm at all. The handle is what you would expect of a Super 110s cloth with a twill weave with no uptwist. It is unremarkable and unmemorable. Neither is it offensive. Spring or liveliness is below average. It doesn't have the spring of a high crimp wool like Escorial or that of a high twist wool. In general appearance, I'd associate it with the look of a low-end branded Italian ready-to-wear or a high-end mass market. This is not a moldable cloth, so I would not rely on the cloth tolerating much shrinkage with the iron without buckling, nor would I try stretching it much with the iron. Moldability is important because it allows the tailor another degree of freedom to create a better fit. Crease resistance is within expectations. It doesn't withstand creases like a high percentage mohair, nothing does, but it is not without a degree of immunity to it either. Crease recovery is unremarkable and unmemorable. To really remove creases will require a hot iron and some moisture. Abrasion resistance is very good. As it gets worn as an old, the surface becomes burnished from repeated abrasion and it develops a shine that cannot be removed. It will shine more in high-touch areas, those areas that has received more burnishing. But otherwise, the cloth almost never gets worn thin, not even after years of intermittent wear. However, due to repeated pressings with the iron, it loses what little liveliness it has as it gets older. The Perennial is a long-established offering in a segment that enjoys high demand, the Super 100s to 120s 9-ounce segment. Every cloth brand has an offering in this segment. Holland & Sherry's offering is even named similarly, having christened it Perennial Classics. Unlike the bunch under review, the competitor from Holland Sherry has a higher end appearance, and while also a 2x2 ply twill, has greater strength. Officine Palladino has the Enzo and Mondo collections, which share very similar specs to the VBC Perennial, but the designs are original and fashion-forward. Staneven has the Park Lane Super 120 sponge, which is altogether stouter than the Perennial at 10 ounces. Within the VBC family, the Perennial has siblings. The Sunny Season sponge by VBC is a tropical version of the Perennial, featuring porous high-twist Panama weaves, more breathable prunelles instead of twills, and breezy wool mohair blends. Prices are comparable. The Revenge, also by VBC, is the natural step up. The Revenge is the Super 150s. You can think of it as the Super 150s version of the Perennial. Handle is more luxurious, and it looks higher end through an even smoother surface finish. There are no options at the lower price bracket since the Perennial is the absolute entry-level pricing. Cloths any cheaper would have to come from China. Let me summarize. The Perennial is an absolute entry-level Italian-made cloth that gives a taste of the high-end. Its pros are 1. It's very budget-friendly, 2. It's durable, and 3. It has brilliant colors. Its cons are that the raw wool used is unremarkable, resulting in mediocre handle and liveliness.